Welcome, K-Knights, to another edition of my Let's Play Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, featuring the Age of Redemption 2012 mod.
Send me. The mad Malkavian was true to his word.
Which word? None of them made any sense.
I'm going to be doing this episode a little differently. Instead of doing my commentary as I play, I am actually injecting the commentary into video editing. This allows me to focus more on the game and commentate after the fact, so I can have a cleaner voice. I'm going to be using Audacity to clean up the room ambience that I have here in my studio and try to make sure that the train does not interfere with both my commentary and my gameplay. So I will be doing this from here on out. This should be better for me, actually, because I won't be having to worry about the train interfering with my train of thought and then stopping the game, stopping my recording, and then having to do the edit out that particular interference. So this is how I'm going to be doing the rest of the 3 episodes that I have left.
Return to me.
Whoa! Look at all these packs of smack. This must supply half of New York.
What is this smack?
I'm not sure how to explain it to someone born before Europe even had tobacco. Just think of it as poison.
It's what the juice bags put in their blood when they want to feel powerful as a K-Knight.
Then truly it is the stuff of damnation.
One of the things you will notice in the Age of Redemption 2012 mod when you reach the point of battling against the Giovanni at the warehouse is that when anyone who has entrancement or command uses it on any of the Giovanni will still use their powers of shambling hordes. This is a very fun level, really, because you can really build up a massive army of Giovanni after a while as it just continues to chain one enemy being entranced and then turning around, killing another enemy, and then using the shambling hordes on them. And they all have Mortis. Of course, Mortis is a Dark Age ability. It's from the Dark Age's pen and paper book. And in the actual Vampire the Masquerade, they use necromancy. Mortis does not exist in the modern times of the Vampire the Masquerade lore. So I may consider introducing necromancy, and it was actually one of the things I was talking about during 2012 development back in the day, but we just didn't have time to introduce necromancy in any practical way. And Mortis was already done and included much of what necromancy already does and makes it essentially gameplay friendly. And the objective here is to consider what type of gameplay friendly mechanics can we include for necromancy if we decide to put it in Age of Redemption 2014. If you have any ideas about this, let me know in the comments below or include it in the Facebook. I'll be posting this on the Facebook page for E-Mods.net. You can also use the E-Mods.net forum, though it doesn't seem like a whole lot of people use that. That's okay. There's plenty of outlets at which you can communicate with me.
Return to me. Return to me. Return to me. Return to me.
Damn it! I told you to go back to England.
Thou hast a strange way of showing thy thanks.
Who are you anyway? You sure as hell ain't Interpol.
What was your first clue?
Be content to know that for the moment we are thy salvation.
I don't want your salvation.
Then you're lucky we give it free.
And what the hell are these Giovanni freaks? They are not just mobsters. Are they some kind of mutants?
Something like that.
Thou art safe now, George Thorne. We go.
I'm coming with you.
Thou wouldst surely die.
I can handle myself.
No. Attend me.
Well, going back to the whole hack and slash issue of the game where you're going around wiping out clan after clan from every city hub you go to, I'm actually considering redoing much of how enemies are spawned in each level, especially for Age of Redemption 2014. I think it's time to really consider whether we should tread considerably from the vanilla game, at least from enemy placements and the kind of enemies you're fighting against on each level. Take this level, for example. You're fighting against a ton of Giovanni, and they're all vampires. There's essentially more vampires in this warehouse than you see humans walking on the streets of uptown New York. It's ridiculously unbalanced in that regard. I think the enemies should be thralls. You should be fighting mostly thralls. There should maybe be one, maybe two vampires at most in this warehouse.
Return to me.
As you can see, that combination of obfuscate and chain guns is incredibly overpowered. In a previous episode, I talked about the issue of balancing out the party members to where each party member had a specific purpose in the party, and it would essentially mean that not everyone's going to have shared abilities. So at this point, 3/4 of the party have obfuscate. Actually, I think everybody has obfuscate at this point. It's really unbalancing when you think about it, because either I'm using Cloak the Gathering to cloak everyone with the chain guns and then let the AI just auto fire on every enemy in the area, which is an awesome thing, and it's a great tactic, but I think there should be some way to break this tactic. Auspex is one of the ways to break it, but at the same time, other tactics should make this very difficult to do on certain levels. Some levels, not so much difficult, but on levels where logically this should not be something you get away with, as it is really unbalanced. I mean, I went through the entire sewers without taking a single hit. I mean, I took hits, but nobody went down. There was nothing that was challenging me, and I think the availability of chain guns in this game are probably one of the issues, and they need to be rebalanced. Another issue is that there is of course that balance of disciplines and party roles. I think you really need to be encouraged to use Samuel, because I think he should be the only one with obfuscate. And that and Pink, I guess that brings up an issue with Pink as well, because I think enough people have played this game to know that Pink is an Assamite. Yeah, spoiler alert. Anyway, so he is an Assamite. And I think Assamites, last I recall, have obfuscate. If you already have one party member with obfuscate, then you shouldn't have anyone else with obfuscate, right? It seems like it's unbalanced, because obfuscate is very powerful right now, especially when you're considering using chain guns and other powerful modern weaponry, and just essentially ambushing the enemy, just getting into position, just ambushing them at every corner, at every opportunity. It really brings up an issue that perhaps I should be updating the AI to be more adaptive to this kind of tactic, or considering rebalancing the disciplines, considerably rebalancing the disciplines, or making the availability of chain guns very rare. Like, at this point, maybe change the inventory of the gun haven, even in New York, where chain guns are not readily available just yet. Maybe by the final level, you'll see chain guns added to the inventory of the gun haven, and that also brings up the possibility of having to rebalance all of the shops too, to make it to where auto weaponry in the hands of the AI is extremely powerful. So therefore, auto weapons should be extremely rare, at least until you reach New York. If you're in London, the common weapons should be either handguns or melee. I mean, you should find various machetes, katanas, some new weapons, some new melee weapons that are available at the modern age, and just a limited amount of firearms. So that is an idea on the table. If anyone has any ideas about how to balance out the game further, even make it more lore friendly, while still sticking with the Diablo style feel, make your comments, and I will look into them.
Attend me. Return to me. Return to me. Return to me. Return to me.
Now look at that army. Isn't that beautiful? Oh man. During the initial development of the Age of Redemption 2012 mod, there was actually a feature that allowed the firearms to blast through your allies and still hit the enemy. Unfortunately, the feature caused random crashes in the mod, and I still haven't found a workaround for that, so I don't know if I'll ever be able to try that feature ever again. But if something comes to mind later on during 2014 development, I may consider making another attempt at seeing if I could at least somehow either change the AI to where they can move aside so they don't get in the way, or find some other workaround of making the bullets go through them or ignore them, or just outright damage them and kill them and essentially make the whole ranged fighting thing a rather wasteful and destructive problem. Which I don't want to do.
Attend me. Attend me. Attend me.
You're bad for business.
We're bad for your health.
I despise messiness. A prolonged firefight would not prove cost-effective. Come, let us deal.
Why don't we just cut our heads off for you?
Because you're smarter than that. You'll require an arrangement.
Aye. Where is Vukadlak?
I don't know any such person.
Where dost thou send the caskets of earth?
We simply unload them and leave them on the docks. Our client wishes to preserve his anonymity. And now that I have helped you enough, perhaps you could leave me to tidy this mess.
Stand, sir. Or wouldst thou arrive in hell squatting upon thy arse?
All right, I'll tell you. We sent the shipments to Orsi International.
Orsi? The self-same Orsi who long ago didst betray us?
I sure do love Italian.
Wilhelm! God hath blessed me with our return.
Christoph, you can't trust Pink. He's an assassin from Clan Asamite, and he's working for Vukodlak. He's here to murder you as soon as you are no longer useful to him. He just wants you to kill his Setite and Giovanni enemies.
What? That's a damned lie!
Dev Null contacted me and told me that the Asamite had gained your trust. He tried to warn you, but you didn't understand him.
No one understands him. He's insane. And Christoph, you're as insane as he is if you believe the Sabbat freak's lies. Oh yes, he's Sabbat. He's too busy lying about old Pink to tell you that, huh?
Is the truth? Art thou now Sabbat?
Yes, it's true, Christoph. I had no choice. The mighty cosmos fell during the great battle in Prague, and we became too weak to attain our Promethean goals. We needed new allies, but we refused to join the Ventru and their Tremere and their Masquerade, their Camarilla. Ekaterina is an archbishop of the Sabbat now, but she fights against the Sabbat who serve Vukodlak. Yes, I am Sabbat, but Pink is no Bruja.
Abdul al-Hasim, master disciple of the Asamites at your service. You must admit, I affected the idiotic Bruja aesthetic with flawless perfection. But now, I must take my leave of you, Christoph. My takya is finished. The Sumitsi charged me with preventing you from finding Exalted Master Vukodlak before he arises. Alas, they did not specify that I had to put my knife into your heart. So, I let you kill my Setite enemies. And taking out that greasy Giovanni boss put the icing on the cake. Despite my best efforts, you came perilously close to finding Vukodlak. But now I have wasted so much of your time that you cannot possibly reach him before he arises, even if you knew where to look. Oh, and Christoph. Sorry I did not help you out of the kindness of my heart. But no sane vampire is that stupid. Farewell. Enjoy the new year. And the new age.
Forgive me, Wilhelm. I should never have doubted thee. I thank thee for thy timely intervention.
Thank Dev Null. The little bastard seemed to know everything about everything in this town. He tried to tell you, but... well, he's not always very clear. The email he sent to Katerina was nearly unintelligible, but... we knew that pissed off Christoph had to be you.
Where is Ekaterina? I must thank my mistress for sending thee, and for her timely summons. She didst wake me from my torpor in time to save me from the society of Leopold.
Summons? Ekaterina sent no summons. I suppose she has the power to wake you, but... she gave you up for dead a long time ago.
Then who?
I couldn't say. Ekaterina would like to stop the antediluvians, but if Vukodlak succeeds in rising with the power to consume them, he will become the most powerful being on Earth. He is too unstable to wield that kind of power. It would doom kindred and mortals alike.
How horrible.
The time for the Fiend's reawakening is approaching. On New Year's Eve, the Tzimitzi Kolden's spell will be broken, and he will arise from torpor. The Prometheans have been preparing for this time. Most of the last millennia has been spent trying to find and destroy him before this could occur. Of course, the Camarilla has taken much of our attention since then.
Wilhelm, thou told me of thy passion for the road of humanitas. How couldst thou join wicked creatures like the Sabbat?
A lot can happen in 800 years. In a way, you were lucky. Lucky to be spared what I have seen, what I have done, what I had to do. There's very little humanity left in me.
Then come, let us redeem thy humanity with our good works. Let us put the lie to the assassin and prevent the rise of Ukudlak. Then may we cry out to the reverberate hills that we have reclaimed our lost humanity.
Yes.
Back when Age of Redemption 2012 was being built, there was actually an intention to make Pink into an enemy and have a boss fight at the end of this level, because this is one of the levels that are inconsistent with many of the other levels that typically end with a boss fight. Let's just say we didn't have enough time to actually build the boss fight, considering all of the other features we were currently polishing out, and there's still quite a bit more polish that we need to do with much of the gameplay feature to consider a number of redesigns for several of these levels, because it seems to me the modern chapters of Vampire the Masquerade Redemption are the least finished. It seems not holistic, ran out of time. They just didn't have enough time to finish up all the plot loopholes, to essentially explain how did Pink end up being an Assamite this whole time, and why was he not implicitly told to put a knife in Kristoff's heart? That didn't make a whole lot of sense. If Vukatlak sought to stop Kristoff, apparently all the way back at London, then that was the biggest fail ever. And there was absolutely no explanation as to why the plot went in this direction. There was no real hints to this. And that's another thing. There's been talk between team members of the Age of Redemption mod about adding a considerable amount of additional side quests, many of which could explain much of the unexplained parts of the plot that could also lead up to this point, and how you react to this point. Like, for example, meeting Pink, finding out how did Pink know if he was an Assamite agent rather than some random brouhaha in a club. How did Vukatlak know? And there was an assumption. There's only one reference to the possibility of knowing that Kristoff was extracted from the ruins of an ancient Tzimisce haven, and that was a reference in one of Father Leopold's notes. It wasn't really all that explanative, because there's a number of ways to interpret Leopold's men being under attack by Tzimisce when they go investigate the old haven that Vukatlak should have obviously left like 800 years ago. After that battle in Prague, that should have been it. There's no going back to that. That place, that haven's completely compromised. It's a death sentence to go back there, and it doesn't make any sense to go back there if that was Vukatlak's Tzimisce. There's a possibility that maybe it wasn't Vukatlak's men, his servants or whatever, that were going back to the haven. It was possibly the council, the Tzimisce council, that are still looking for Vukatlak and seek to end him, to stop his mad scheme, as one of the characters in the proclamation explained, Ordo, which is actually would be an interesting character. We were thinking about adding Ordo as a party member and have him assist the players in at least the Prague, the Return to Prague mission, where you're going through the Viscerad Castle, and have Ordo assist, and he would be the fourth party member with the absence of Eric. That's assuming you didn't save Eric. That's assuming you weren't able to save Eric, and that's assuming we didn't enable an opportunity to save Eric, and have Ordo be a fourth party member for the attack on the Viscerad Castle. Ordo being a Tzimisce, it would be a tenuous alliance. At best, it would be a very temporary alliance. Probably lead to some dubious issues, possibly involving Inesca. Having Ordo, perhaps, in an attempt to stop Vukatlak, try to kill Inesca. And that leads to an issue with Kristoff, as he's trying to interfere with Ordo, and he's just trying to do the right thing, but in a wrong way. But it leads to that issue where do we add Ordo in? Do we later kill him? Maybe in the midst of the fight, the castle comes down, Kristoff goes down. like he usually does, trying to get to Ineska. Ineska, she's not dead, of course, or maybe there's a possibility, depending on your humanity, whether or not you're going to be able to continue from the Viscerod Castle. If your humanity's too low, don't even bother going to modern day, because there's obviously going to be an issue when you encounter Ineska. If your humanity's so low and you made decisions to abandon her and all that, it may have reached a point where Viscerod Castle could be another alternative ending to the game itself, and possibly an alternative way to branch the game entirely, depending on how you deal with Ordo, assuming we find a way to include this character into the game, and it would be a very interesting feature, which will need some additional content to make possible. I'll need to actually finish up Vicissitude. That would be a much-needed discipline if I am to include a Tzimisce party member. It would also encourage me to do Vicissitude, and I'm actually thinking of doing Vicissitude as a crafting discipline, rather than its lore-friendly counterpart, which is more for, it's more for RPing, it's more for just the pen and paper roleplay sort of concept. I'm actually considering Vicissitude from a combat and crafting sort of point of view, where you acquire bits of flesh and bits of bone, and you use those as components for other disciplines in Vicissitude, which allow you to essentially enhance yourself right up to Horde form, or even to upgrade yourself to Zulo form through the various parts and components that you have to use, like flesh crafting and bone crafting, to acquire these components on enemies that have died, and then they turn into flesh components or bone components for various crafting of Sloksta or upgrades for yourself. And that could be an interesting concept. I think that would be a rather fun version of Vicissitude for gaming, for video games. Probably wouldn't be very lore accurate to the most part. It would be somewhat lore-ish, but there is definitely ideas on the table, and that also means I probably won't consider malleable visage, because I don't see any actual functionality to that in a video game. It was included in the WAD mod, and I think it was also included within the Within the Darkness mod. I don't know if they did Vicissitude. It's been a while since I've looked at Within the Darkness, but it was years ago. Those are definitely old versions of Vicissitude, if they exist. I'm definitely wanting to make mine unique from the other mods, and I think it would be pretty cool to make it into a crafting skill, and it would complement the idea that I want crafting to be a big part of the future of Age of Redemption. I think that would actually extend the lifespan of the game and encourage people to try the mod and get an entirely different experience out of it.
Attend me. Return to me.
Go ahead, take the elevator to the top floor. The penthouse. It's open and real clean. I don't even think the guy ever lived there, and I mean that. I'm not just trying to sell you the place.
I am eager to see Orsi again. I have a gift for him.
We seek Orsi. I did business with him long ago, and I owe him a debt.
And then you're about 2 days too late. He sold the place to me for a song and moved out. Hey, I'm Fred Varney. I'm in real estate. I'm looking for a buyer for the place. Beautiful townhouse, the Berkeley South.
What party?
Oh, sure. Act like you don't know it's New Year's. Come on, you can't fool me. That's why you're dressed up.
Ah, I see. Yes, his party. Where is it?
No idea. You think I got invited? This is for his highbrow friends from the old country. You know, with Euro trash accents. Well, like yours. No offense.
None taken.
Oh, we lost our invitations. Where is it?
No idea. Wish I could help. Can't help. Gotta go.
Wait.
Got no time. Unless you want to buy Orsi's townhouse.
Let us see it.
So now you're actually able to buy Orsi's penthouse and make it a new haven. Now, of course, it's very expensive to buy. I could go back to the Giovanni warehouse and grab up all of those chain guns and various high-end weapons and sell them, making a whole bunch of money, and then come back here and buy Orsi's penthouse and make it my new haven. That is definitely an option in Age of Redemption 2012, and it was really the early stages of something much bigger. Hopefully I will get around to making a whole bunch of content for havens and make it where you can buy numerous havens, numerous upgrades for those havens. But here's the extent of what is available for 2012. You get to buy Orsi's penthouse, and what that does is it will add a coffin, a place to rest. For Orsi's penthouse, it's actually a high-end coffin. It's one of those nice sarcophaguses, and it adds the Resurrection Ankh, as well as directing all of your Haven porthole disciplines to Orsi's penthouse. Yeah, it also adds your vault. So yeah, you get your vault there, and you can access your vault. You can still go back to Dev Null's apartment and still use that to an extent, but none of your Walk the Abysses will actually go to Dev Null's apartment after you purchase the penthouse from Fred Varney here at the Berkeley.
Go ahead, take the elevator to the top floor. The penthouse. It's open and real clean. I don't even think the guy ever lived there, and I mean that. I'm not just trying to sell you the place. Go ahead, take...
Return to me. Return to me.
This quest feels like Joseph's Tunnels all over again. It really reeks of unnecessary side questing as primary questing. It would actually be nice to make it as an optional thing to find Lily's sire. By finding her sire, you increase her loyalty and therefore enhance some of her skills. Maybe giving her some additional perks or additional effects when it comes to using her disciplines. That's definitely an idea. I kind of brushed off a little bit of the idea of perks in a previous episode. I think it was actually it might have been the second or third episode where I was talking about the idea of perks and acquiring perks through the course of gameplay and committing actions that typically would give you some additional enhancements for doing those actions often. And that's actually still on the table. I would like to add gameplay options like that to modernize the game's feel and increase the game's immersion, in addition to making it kind of a unique take on a Diablo-style game with a whole bunch of additional modernized gameplay elements taken from games like Mass Effect, Skyrim, even some things from Diablo. I mean, to actually make it to where the loot is truly Diablo-ish. And that's really a goal, is really to get all this content working together, make a game that's both single player and multiplayer. I mean, geez, don't forget the multiplayer, where you can experience the same story with your friends and play on a multiplayer game with up to 8 players. Have 8 friends on either a LAN and use Tunngle to connect to a multiplayer game. The potentials for this are just immense. I mean, this is actually pretty awesome.
Count Orsi.
Dry thy crimson tears. We do not serve Orsi. We seek his factory, and we crave his death.
The end. The end comes soon. Oh, Lily. How sweet to see you again. And how bitter to find you, only to lose you again.
But we can be together forever.
No. No, there is no forever. He's returning. We have to get out of New York. Out of America. There's no place far enough we can run.
Peace, woman. What dost thou mean?
Vukadlak. The Tzimitzi demon they made me paint. They resurrect him this night.
And he rises in time to die.
Heads up. We've got company.
All right, you better be finished, and it better be brilliant.
No, it is you who are finished.
And that will be brilliant.
The address of Orsi's factory. Let us go.
My thanks to you, Christoph. Lily tells me you are a great kindred.
We are well pleased with her as well.
I'd love to paint you. You have a very noble brow. I owe you everything for saving me. Good luck on your mission.
May I go with them, Alexandra?
Lily, my lovely thrall. It grieves me to let you go so soon after finding you again. But Orsi must die to free you from your bondage. Go, with my blessings. And give Orsi my regards when you crush him like the toad he is.
Thank you.
Farewell till we meet again, Alexandra.
Now, did anyone notice that Alexandra referred to Lily as a thrall? Isn't a thrall a ghoul? That's interesting.
Please hurry.
Something to think about, though. We only get vampires on our side in this game, and it kind of brings up an interesting question whether maybe some people who are more familiar with the pen and paper lore could explain why a sire would call their fledgling a thrall. I mean, it doesn't seem to fit with typical lore, at least to me. Maybe someone can explain this. Maybe it was a Freudian slip, or perhaps Lily was actually supposed to be a ghoul. Well, it's another idea on the table, that's for sure.